darn near the beginning, I would say.
Yeah, the early days of the Go for StarCraft 2s in 2010, 2011. Nerchio was already around. It's awesome to see him go up against Dark on a stage like this. Hopefully it's going to be one hell of a series stage.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You got to keep in mind as well, Nerchio is used to doing these marathon tournaments like Dream Hacks or IEMs where you play through a bunch of opponents over the course of a weekend. This is one where they had a lot of time to prepare for each other for these maps. Let's see what happens. Our countdown has started. This will be casted by In Control in Rotterdam. This is Nerchio versus Dark.
Thanks, Taste. Let's get the hell out of here.
All right, I'm out of here.
We gotta do this now, man. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the GSL versus the world. We're in match number 3 here, and starting off in the top right-hand side from Poland, it's one of the great menaces of Europe.
Euronics Gaming, Nerchio.
Mr. Consistency, as he called himself for quite some time.
Oh.
Said he looked up to this man in the left bottom side for a while, but now he thinks he can beat him. The man in the left bottom side thinks otherwise. He ain't that worried about this series. Let's see if he was right. It is
Dark.
Simply Dark. Starting off with a little bit of cheddar there.
Yep, and this is basically what you already said, right? Best of 5. You know you're going to get a couple of weird builds early on. Dark is going to try to get ahead very early on. This is, you know, it happened in the past, right? I remember last year, semifinals, global playoffs. We're all on the laser hype train. We're like, oh my God, this is like a new wonder kid from Poland. He's going to do it. This is going to be an amazing semifinals. We could have the very first non-Korean make it to the final. And then Dark is like, nah, guys, let's stop it here. And it's like 3-0 in 15 minutes. We're like, ouch. Earlier this year, Katowice, Zero wins his group 5-0 in best of 3s.
Yeah.
We're like, Zero is so good right now. He's really going to be able to have a good shot against somebody like Dark. Again, 3-0 for Dark.
Got some of those foreigner fans here. Pretty hyped. It's actually a pretty full house, guys. It's been a lot of fun.
Man, he's from Poland, by the way, so this match means extra for him.
Well, hey, he's got a good one to root for. Nerchio, there's a certain scenario, guys, where people are rolling in graves. There's people that are like just disbelieving. But if you go back in time and said, hey, Nerchio's going to be one of the most charismatic people in the foreigner scene, you wouldn't have believed it, but he is. I love him. He goes to tournaments. He says the funny stuff. He's got the swagger. I love. You know, Dark touched on this too. He says stuff that upsets Korean fans.
Yeah.
For a lot of you, are probably not the. Maybe you're not a super mega hardcore fan that watches Reddit and stuff like that, but it's kind of funny.
Nerchio's actually making 2 additional drones now, and that's not what he needs at all. What he needs is as many Zerglings and Banelings, because we're just talking about the history of foreigners having hopes and dreams against Dark. Well, here we go once again. It's a bunch of Zerglings that soon will have speed. They're heading towards the natural. We see Nerchio going to go for some sort of a wall-off, but this hatch is in a lot of trouble. And don't forget about the Banelings that are morphing outside of range.
Yeah, the Banelings are going to be tough, but the 2 Queens are the strong suit of this. Some drones getting down here as well. It's going to be about the focus fire of those Banelings. If they connect with any number of Zerglings, almost at all, it's going to be really, really tough. But the Queens, look at the range from that ramp, by the way.
Yeah, close, right? Yeah. Oh, the Zerglings do get a little bit of a wraparound, though. And that one Baneling connects with the Lynx. And Jeff, I'm afraid that this is something that we've seen before when foreigners go up against Dark. Game number 1, 3 minutes in, and Nerchio is as good as that. There's no other way to put it.
Spinecrawler not even cancel it, dies. A couple of Zerglings trying to do something, but there's just nothing here. Queen's not even started, doesn't have the money for it.
Nice.
12 Lings coming up, but still the Banelings exist.
Decent split there on a couple of the Lynx. Good use of these drones. Oh my God, that one Baneling does connect with pretty much every drone.
Here come the Zerglings. They're like, I'll go ahead. I'll get in that chicken coop.
13
They're
against
actually
13.
Well, 8 drones dead though.
So many additional Lynx are running across the map for Dark. He's got speed. Nerchio does not. Well, actually just finished up, but he lost 11 drones already. Nerchio knows what time it is. It's GG time as Dark picks up a very quick and easy game number 1. And he just keeps on doing this, Jeff, every single time on a big stage against non-Korean Zergs. He's like, yeah, you guys practice a lot of ZvZ in Europe, right? Well, let's open up with Circling Bane and let's see how you do. And it's like, all right, 1-0 Dark, just like that.
And that build is in the meta. That situation is something that Nerchio's been in a lot of times, but I really can't stress this enough, the difference of traveling to Korea, sitting on that stage, fighting for, and this is something we haven't talked a lot about, you lose here, $0. You win here, $4,000. That's actually a lot of money, you guys. That's really nice. So there is a lot of pressure on this. There's obviously more prestige for these guys. These are people that have already won a lot of money in various other tournaments. So to do well here can be career defining, but you have to get past a guy like Dark, who, look how calm he is.
Yeah.
I feel like I could go, I could preserve a popsicle on his chest. I could just like leave it there for an hour, come back, it's still a popsicle.
You're spot on.
A delicious popsicle.
You know, Jeff, I don't want to be too critical. Obviously, it was a short and quick game. But if you are Nerchio, right? If you're Nerchio's friend or you're Nerchio's coach or you're Nerchio yourself, would you say, like, open up with Hatch first, make a couple extra drones against somebody like Dark, who is so well known for bringing the aggression in these kind of best of 5? Why wouldn't you go pool before Hatch?
I hear you, and I think that's something worth being critical. I always just kind of give the initiative to the pros. I'm like, you know what? They know better. To us, it obviously in hindsight looks like it's kind of an obvious thing, but it's either here nor there. It's 0-1. This guy here in the lower right-hand side needs your support. They call him
Euronix Gaming, Nerchio.
And on the left top side of Ascension to Ire, the man with a popsicle on his chest right now, if you are living in Incontrol's world. He's up 1-0. It is
Dark.
very smart, amazing player, with big talents. Kevin, let's do this, though. We're in Korea.
Yes.
At the end of this game, I want you and I to synchronize and give the best tasteless GG that you and I can do. Can you do that?
I'm not sure, Jeff.
Just try.
I can.
Can you give your best effort? Can you show your fans your best effort?
for this game or the end of the series?
End of this game.
The end of this game?
Yeah, because we don't know the end of the series.
But in the middle of like you know.
All right, you know what? End of series. We'll do end of
Yeah.
series. Okay.
But the only condition is the final game has to be at least longer than 12 minutes. Then I can do it for you.
Jeez, all these conditions. Wow, I'm really
It's too-
bartering here. I'll tell you what, I take it.
It's 2
I'll
conditions.
take what I can.
All right, so either game 3, 4, or 5. If you pass the 12-minute mark, you're gonna get a GG out of me, Jeff. I used to sing in the shower. It doesn't sound pretty. When I scream GG, it's not pretty either. But
It doesn't sound pretty when Tasteless does it either. Yes, it does.
It's just the passion,
it's
man.
manly.
It's so good. Okay, well, here we go. We got an aggressive opening on both players this time around.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, basically, Dark made this an unsacred match. After that, it's like, well, okay, here we go. We're out for blood, I guess.
All right, so it's important, obviously, for Nerchio that he picks up on this as quickly as possible. Once again, there is a Baneling nest. Dark is absolutely showing no respect in this series so far whatsoever. He's just like, I'm just going to go with this build and see if you can ever deal with it or not. And if you can, it's going to be a quick another 3-0 for me. This time, Nerchio is obviously going to be a lot more capable of dealing with it. But without a Baneling nest, Jeff, like 2 Banelings, Nerchio can micro his way around it. 3 becomes more tricky. If Dark shows up with 4 Banelings, I don't know if Nerchio can ever micro his way out of that. Now he drops the expand as well, and the links are about to show up. This is, again, I feel on paper not that great for Nerchio, but maybe he can do a lot of damage on the other side of the map.
Maybe. You see those Zerglings do sneak around there. And there's going to be a clean side. Defensive Banelings as well. Dark is so smart. He takes the right gambles. He's just deep inside the head. I mean, they're not even spotted. Where did the Zerglings come from? He's going to be like, you got a nice tunnel back there, bro?
Already?
How did they happen?
All right, one Queen is going to be out of position as well. It's
It's
going
by
to get
herself.
surrounded almost immediately by
It's a
these
free queen.
links.
It's a free queen.
This is not good at all. Link skirmish in the middle of the map is good for
Oh,
Nerchio. No, Nerchio!
no!
No! Oh,
He's dead.
No.
Oh,
yes, he is.
no.
It doesn't matter how well he splits his units. He
No.
doesn't have an answer against these Banes. He lost all of his links on the other side of the map. Just like that. Dark. 3 minutes and 24 seconds. Jeff, I'm getting disgusted in a way that he makes it look so damn easy.
Look at him laugh.
Every single time.
He just tweeted out, he said, Nerds, you ever made $4,000 in about 9 minutes flat?
You know, yesterday, one of my favorite things about yesterday is that Hero was here like very early on, right? All the players show up early. Stats strolls in the studio at like 5:58. 1 minute to do makeup. He sits down on stage.
Looks calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, he wins 3-0 in like a roughly 40 minutes, and he heads out of the studio at 6:45. He's like, oh, $4,000 in a little under an hour.
Yeah.
Dark is like, hold my beer, nerd. Here I am. I can do it in 20.
He's like, shoot, there's a train at 6:30. I think I can, if I can really wrap up this game number 3, I might be able to make it.
He's texting, I had a girlfriend or mom right now. It's like, they should
Nerchio.
get dinner ready.
Nerchio, meanwhile, has ridden like 4 trains, 2 planes, and a taxi cab to get here for this, and he is facing 0-2. Same opening from Dark, by the way.
Yes, the exact same. And, you know, I think on paper, this could work out decently for Nerchio. If you get a spine, you get 2 queens. But the moment he dropped the hatch, I was like, oh no. Then the moment he missed all those units morphing,
Well,
I
that
was
was
like,
it.
oh no. Then the queen, I was like, oh no.
Oh, no!
And then obviously the link running into the Banes is just the icing on the cake for our Korean Zerg. Well, Jeff, here we are, game number 3, 7 minutes in. Can this man somehow turn it around it is Euronics.
Euronics Gaming. Nerchio.
All right, gonna need your guys' support. He's could rally back. This has been quick. I mean, he could strike back maybe, but it's gonna be tough because he is facing this guy in the corner, and they call him not light, but
Not afraid of the
dark.
Dark.
Dark. You know, I recently watched Assassin's Creed, terrible movie, and I was gonna try to build it into my intro because they say something like, "We fight in the dark so that we may represent the light," or something like that. But it kills the punchline. Dark is at the front of part of it.
I see.
Kills it.
Well, Jeff, I am happy to see at least a hatchery first coming out of here from Dark, and Nerchio's actually doing the same. Neither of these two guys are taking their pocket expand, so this is a little similar to something we see on like Proxima. We saw earlier this map already play out in a similar way in PvP as well. Maybe in ZvZ, both of them are going to stay gasless, create a little bit of a wall off here with some Evo chambers and a Roach Ward. And I'm just happy to see this shaping up as a normal game, because I would just feel absolutely gutted if Nerchio would just lose 3-0, you know, in a 10-minute best of 5. Like, that would break all kinds of negative records, and that's just sad. Like, you don't wish that upon your worst enemy, and I definitely wouldn't wish it on Nerchio, as he's such a fantastic player. So we have a macro-oriented opening here, and I'm happy to see it.
Triple hatch even, going really macro. I got my nerds here, Nick and Dan, so I'm going to tell an old school story. It's going to go over most people's heads. It's one of my favorites. In our little Brood War Foreigner scene, we had a champion arise by the name of Skew, and he was like, somehow this guy finagled his way to get to a BlizzCon or something like that.
Okay.
He faces yellow, and this is non-Koreans back then did not face the big dogs very often. We were like, wow, what a proud moment. He played a best of 5.
Yeah.
Proxy barracks, got scouted and died each game inside of, and I'm not even kidding you, maybe 45 seconds.
Oh.
And that was, we remember, we actually then created, we took his name and used as a measurement of time. We called it a skew.
Oh.
So for the rest of the Brood War scene, we would be like, how long was your game? It was like, well, it's 12 skews. It was a pretty quick one.
Jesus. That's so sad.
Terrible. So
Yeah.
we're avoiding that here, though.
I mean, like,
Thankfully.
the thing is that Dark has done this in the past, right? That's right. Some of the other series you have before the series, I was very optimistic, right? I was optimistic about Zero putting up a good fight. I was very confident in Neeb. This series, I didn't go there because Dark is just the ultimate hype hope killer. He keeps on doing this over and over and over again. This man hasn't lost against a non-Korean since 2012, and I think back then the games he lost were all online. Like, if you hear the names of people that Dark did eventually lose against in 2012, it's like Bishu, Damista.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
you know,
my
these
God.
are not players that are relevant anymore. They're not around anymore.
But also, Dark has I really like his career trajectory, because back then he was a grinder. He was like the young blood that came up in, wasn't it Slayers or maybe? I can't remember. One of the mega nerds out there can correct me, but he was just a guy who wasn't the Dark that we know now.
No.
And even the Dark now, I have to say, is like when he hits his high, I'm thinking of BlizzCon last year against Beyond.
That was awesome.
He's amazing. He's absolutely super incredible. He's still doing okay, but we haven't seen that like Zerg dominance that I really think he's capable of.
No, you're spot on. I mean, just last week, Dark was at the Intel Extreme Masters in Shanghai as well. He had a decent run. I mean, he barely made it out of the group stage, a couple of very close games. And then in the quarterfinals said he was going to do a lot better because the first day just wasn't his day. I had pretty high hopes and dreams of his run there because Dark in general and ZvZ I feel is always so strong. But Rogue just completely dismantled him. First 2 games, kind of what we saw right now, but then in favor of Rogue.
Yeah.
Game 3 was a little bit longer, but Rogue was like, nah, I'm the superior ZvZ player at this tournament at least. I'm feeling better, and he just played way better than Dark. So I agree with you. Dark is absolutely fantastic. He's a legend of the game, and we know that he's one of world's best whenever he wants it. But so far this year hasn't really been the year of Dark yet either.
Yeah. It's been an interestingly competitive year. Like Beyond last year too, at the end of 2016, was the best. He was the best player. No question
One
about it.
GSL, one Global Finals. What else do you have to do?
Tripped up a little bit against Showtime, but after that, just looked ungodly, and he was just laughing, having a good time the whole time. This year, it's been so much more competitive. There's been people that have been in the best slot, Protoss, Terran, and Zerg, but none of them have looked untouchable. So that's got me really excited going towards BlizzCon and the end of the year. But here, we can see both these players, guys. Part of the reason why we're kind of talking about almost everything else is you can see this is a mega macro ZvZ going on right now. 3 bases, unperturbed. Both players just kind of gentlemanly agreed upon that.
It's just one of these maps, right? And once again, this map is quite similar to Proxima. If you open up with 3 hatcheries before gas, it doesn't really allow a lot of window of opportunity to be aggressive. There are some weird all-in builds where you can hide one of your gases and try to surprise your opponent. But neither of these two Zergs have decided to go that route, so they're just doing the exact same thing. Dark is up to 70 drones, Nerchio 67. We've got 2 Evos working for Dark. Only a single Evo for Nerchio, which is the one difference. It's going to give Nerchio a little bit of a roach advantage, though. But will he actually be able to capitalize on that advantage and maybe like shut down the 4th base? That's obviously what Nerchio is going for here, because he's going to fall behind in the upgrade department.
Yeah, both players droning up at about the same time. We did see a Drop-A-Lord or several. I didn't see if it was a number of them. I was wondering if it was going to be a scout, but Nerchio for a little while in earlier 2017 was doing some drop ZvZ stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we all love his Drop-Lord play against Protoss as well with the Lurkers and
maybe
the
he's an Overseer. Maybe we just saw.
Yeah, I don't think there's any Drop-Lords yet.
I might have missed seeing that.
It's okay. Screens are small, Jeff. You know,
I just have terrible eyes. If people knew how blind I was, and I still commented half confidently,
you know,
they'd be like, "You're a hero."
I actually have a sad story as well. The moment I arrived there, I was very, very tired after Shanghai. I get to my hotel room, I'm like, oh, nice. And I have hard contact lenses, not soft one. And I pop the left one out, and it falls into the sink. Water is
gone forever.
And then I see it spill away, and I'm like, no! But yeah, it was gone. I was like,
that explains the left eye squinting you've been doing. You're like, here's my good eye.
Yeah, no, I only have one contact. But it's okay. The lens was kind of old, had some scratches on it, so it is what it is.
I think it levels the playing field. Like, we've got Nick in a brace, and he's just kind of like hunched around, and Dan just like turns into a blob and rolls around to the casting stage. And we're like, you know what? We need to do something too. We need to level the playing field. But
so Nerchio has his second Evo as well. He's got his upgrades on the way too. We do have Burrow on the way for Dark and Tunneling Claws. Now this is not something that Nerchio should be unfamiliar with.
Speed Overload as well here.
There are so many European Zergs who love to play like this. Elazer is a big fan of it himself as well. Obviously Nerchio goes up against Elazer's Serral Snoot so often. Yeah. So none of this should feel unfamiliar. None of this should feel surprising. But Jeff, I look at this ZvZ. Dark has a little bit of an advantage. He's almost maxed out. Nerchio's not yet. Nerchio doesn't have many money banked up. He's getting a Hydra then. But it's just like Dark is a tiny bit ahead. He has done a few things just a tiny bit better this game.
But it's ZvZ, Kevin. This is like that. It needs to be a 40 supply difference for me to get excited. I've learned this. In ZvZ, it's like he's 5-10 supply ahead. The worker count's similar. You know, he'll get over there. He'll pass a couple Overlords, and then Nerchio will know to trigger his. They're going to max out.
Lovely position on the Overseers, which I'm very happy to see. The last thing you ever want to do is before you max out, you're already surprised by a couple of Roaches with Tunneling Claws. Nerchio doesn't have this. He's morphing a couple of Ravages, not ready yet, but he does have an Infestor. He's going to be able to land a couple of these Fungals.
Yeah, deep Fungal in the backfield there, getting some AoE damage in there. They're going to have a line fight here, but it seems that Dark is going to push forward here. Another Infestor wanders a little bit too close to the front line.
The Roaches came from the top side, so that means that this Nerchio is going to be a little bit exposed. Nerchio should murder this army, though. Beautiful concave there in the end. Dark is obviously remaxing already. Now, the big question is, how many drones are going to fall against these Roaches with Tunneling Claws?
So far, just a couple, but the damage is not yet just done. The Queen inside the main getting sniped here as well. Nerchio with that Hydra Den and some Infestors already out. He's got the tech advantage. Oh man, the Overseers you were talking about actually pull back to deal with this harass. And at that third, we can see some more Roaches getting into position.
Why is he killing his own Hydra Den? Nerchio's got a couple of Roaches shooting at his own Hydra Den. Hopefully
it's time to sack it, Kevin. It's just no good right now. It's no good right now, man.
It is definitely going to be good eventually. Nice. He moved these Roaches, so he didn't kill his own building. Now, Dark is going to get his own infestation pit. He was probably surprised. He's like, hello, you already have Fungal?
Yeah, the Overseer saw it. Okay.
Oh, this is one of these moments, though. Nerchio's units are still coming from the main base. Dark has pretty much all of his units here.
Good splits.
Yeah, I think Nerchio's going to be all right.
Yeah, he's doing just fine. This is a much better performance from him so far. Another Fungal holding those Roaches in place. He is going to win that fight. Yeah, okay, there's a rogue Roach that gets inside that third base, but right now, it's Nerchio with that 30 supply advantage. So that's, I've given you permission to become excited. Of course, there's the Remax because I have the Caster Curse.
Did you love that, Jeff? That one Roach and Queen in an epic battle for the ages.
Just
they both get their
slapping it back.
final shot off. If I'm going down, you're going with me. Now, Nerchio is going to actually be aggressive for the first time. Also, you have to be a little bit careful. This is quite a long map. Units coming in from the north side as well. Nerchio, don't overextend right now. He's going to get sandwiched a little bit, but does Dark actually have enough on the north side?
It's Nerchio landing those corrosive vials, though. I got to say, he's been avoiding them much better, and it's been Dark that's been having them land on his head. Obviously, the game's not out yet. You can see down there at that supply. It's very similar. But if the game progresses and it's Dark taking those shots, that's what can lose you the game.
And Nerchio also showing us here that he's able to multitask with Dark, that he doesn't fall apart as soon as a couple of roaches show up somewhere. I still
This is the ZvZ I was expecting, Kevin. Like, this is what we were kind of robbed of.
And
in
this
those
is what we
first
were
two
hoping
games.
for. And this is exactly what I said right before the series.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that Nerchio can battle with Dark.
Yes,
Not
he
saying
can.
he's battle. Not saying that he's better or that he's going to win, but he can definitely battle with Dark if he just survives those first 5-6 minutes without falling too far behind or being dead. Well, in 2 cases he was dead. This time he's showing us like, hey, I'm a world-class Zerg player myself. I can, play a straight-up game with you. I can macro, and let's see who takes it from here. I mean, Nerchio has way faster Hive, way faster +3 on the way, and he's not taking any damage.
Yeah, he's got the better tack. He's got access to Infestors. Of course, as I say that, Dark is going to go that route as well. Hydras, they're both a big deal, especially if you can start getting lurkers. I know that a lot of people have seen games turn around. You can actually lose from lurkers because they're hard on positioning, but they're also really good in those fights. If you can get Dark to just not be able to, defend a 4th or something like that, it can be a big deal.
This is a solid game from Nerchio. He's just not been out of position once. He had an answer against all these roach run-bys. He had detection in place almost all the time. Just one time it was a little bit off, but no big deal. Really didn't take much damage at all. And you just gotta love the way that the Polish Zerg has been playing. He's bringing a couple of units from the right side. Obviously his main army is trailing behind a tiny bit. He's gonna get a roach or two.
Could have been big, but Dark knew to back off there. He's got some tech behind this. He has Infestors coming out.
Supply trick with 7 spores.
7 spores, sure.
He's gonna go for 209 supply.
This could make all the difference. Don't let him finish, though.
No.
Don't let him finish.
That's a lot of spores.
Cancel.
Nerchio.
Hit the cancel.
No. Oh, that's a lot of spores.
All right, man. You know what? He's farming him. Later in the game, pull forward the spores.
Snipe.
All the spores. Nobody says that.
Snipe the overseers, and your infestors will never die.
Exactly, man. No, that was a
Now he's
mistake.
getting
not the end of the world.
So that's getting 4 spines. Spines can obviously be used to defend one of the newer locations, so that's not that bad. The 7 spores, a little unnecessary. But Nerchio has been banking up a lot of money.
He has. He's down to 56 drones. I mean, I'm not going to pull out my monocle and be like, technically you want to be at about 64 right now. It's fine.
Did you crunch the numbers?
I always crunch the numbers, Kevin. That's my trick. I'm always crunching the numbers. Both players doing it. Spinecrawler's being we're going to have the long ZvZ here.
This is a good fight for Nerchio because he has way more roaches there. Dark is a little bit out of position. This is kind of awkward as well. Dark's going to be forced to send a few more units towards the right side.
His own corrosive bile hit him.
Yeah. Well, look at Nerchio.
Good target fire.
Don't go up that ramp.
You can't go up that ramp. I don't know. I think this is freeing supply.
Wow, that is a lot of units, though,
roaches.
Jeff. That's a lot of units coming in from Nerchio, and I think Nerchio might be able to get a cancel on this hatch, or at least get a quick kill. Obviously, you're going to send those roaches away, but he's going to be able to get this hatch and hopefully get out of here with the majority of his units.
If he can get out, it's good, and I think he will. I think you're right.
The infestors were quite close.
At this point, they both have 2,000 minerals or so. So sniping a hatch is not the biggest of deals.
It's nice,
but getting that army out makes that good. I mean, like you said, if that gets fungled, that two's not the end of the world, but then that trade becomes really horrible.
Lurker then is now morphing for Dark. And at the same time for Nerchio, that's kind of funny. 13 minutes, 44 seconds into the game, they both decide to get a Lurker then pretty much at the exact same moment. Now, this is just going to become a game of spellcasting abilities, right? How good is your Viper control with Infestors? And can I outmaneuver you? Make sure you're never too clumped up. Make sure your Infestors are never too far forward. But I, in general, feel quite confident when it comes to Nerchio controlling an army. Nerchio's also very honest. In the past, I asked him about something, right? Like, why didn't you add this unit at one point? And he looked at me, he's like, too many control groups. So he likes to get like a certain amount of units with Infestors, obviously. But then he doesn't want to add 2 more spellcasts because he's like, I've got no room for them. I'm not comfortable with it.
That's a great answer. It's a real thing. A lot of people look at the highest levels of StarCraft and they just imagine that these guys can control everything. You really can't. Nope. Not all the time.
Love this concave as well by Nerchio. He does get fungled on the north side, but it still seems like a very good engagement.
The Infestors.
Yep, the Infestors coming in from the north side
they're
as
so
well.
clumped up. They're so clumped up.
This is
mega
bad
fungal.
for Dark. Very, very bad, I think. Now, he does have a couple of units coming in from the north side, but I think that Nerchio has the numbers here, Jeff.
Yeah, Nerchio's at least taking a good trade here. Those fungals at the end there, tipping it over in his favor. Hydras in the backfield, but without too much buffer. They're actually a little bit exposed. Nerchio is, as you can see, they're sustaining that supply advantage. Now, the big thing for me, look at Dark's bank. It's non-existent, so...
This hatch snipe is a lot bigger than the previous one.
It's a big deal. He used up the bank to get that forces out just to survive, but losing the base and spinning the bank means that he is broke. He's in trouble.
Yep, Dark is instead going to expand on the left side of the map at 9 o'clock. Now, Dark is going to get a couple of lurkers. Lurkers are going to be hard to break defensively as there are spines as well, but as long as Nerchio can keep Dark on 4 bases, Nerchio knows this game very, very well. The main, it's dry. The natural is dry. Base number 3 is starting to run a little dry as well, so basically Dark is becoming a 1-base Zerg within minutes from now. And you never want to be a 1-base Zerg when your opponent has all the freedom in the world.
Exactly right. You can start seeing things like a Greater Spire or some Spire Ultras, even your own lurkers. It just becomes you're on that back foot. And the ZvZ matchup can get really mobile. We've already seen Tunnel Claws. You can get inside that main pretty easily. Nidus Worms are a way to get around these Spine Crawlers. So there's all kinds of ways to get past these defenses. And once the lurkers are up and moving, it becomes a problem.
Yep, a couple of roaches just sneaking by as Dark as Overseers were out of position. And this is going to be nice for Nerchio as well. Here you can see that natural that's obviously very, very dry. But it's still a couple of drones for Nerchio. And once again, Dark is not rich. So losing 5, 6, 7 drones is actually very annoying for him.
Yeah. I mean, look at the bank. He's just... A lot of people look at that in the old Brood War days and be like, his macro is perfect. Like, well, yeah, but in like late game ZvZ, you don't want this. You want that bank because you're going to trade armies. There's just so much death happening.
Oh, look at Nerchio. He's getting a Nidus network as well. I like
it,
Jeff.
I called it, man. I told you, the mobility. It's a big deal. And the Vipers don't have the best targets right now, by the way. They would grab like an Infestor or a Ravager or something, but that's not what they're here for. They're hoping for lurkers, Blinding Cloud, something cool, but they're not really, there's nothing here for them.
I love the way that Nerchio's doing. Don't take a terrible fight up a ramp. Just deny hatcheries over and over again. Your opponent's on 4 bases, but 3 of those 4 bases are pretty much gone. This is the way you want to play. Nerchio's playing it beautifully. He's outmining his opponent. He's building up a bigger bank. He has absolute map control. Nerchio's doing everything right.
I want more, though. Like that girl that turned into a purple grave in Charlie and Chocolate Factory.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's such a good reference. He's only just now adding a 5th or 6th base. He's adding Vipers.
Is that the purple dress?
Yeah, she turns into a grape. I want more. You know that whole song. I want a Spire. Well, in the right circumstances. I want a Spire. I want an Ultra's Cavern. Do it all. He's got the money. He's got the bank. Keep canceling the 4th or 5th base, and here we go.
Nice though. Maybe a couple of lurkers for Nerchio as well. Fungal lands on lurkers. Not something you see super often. Cue the duck there. Yeah. So obviously Dark was not in position to deal with this Nidus network.
He's got the top of the ramp.
Yeah, he's gonna lose.
Yeah, you know he's missing those lurkers.
Yeah, if you have 3, 4 lurkers on top of that ramp, instead Nerchio's just gonna engage these lurkers one more time. He's gonna get the 4th base again. Don't lose your entire army though, Nerchio. You're rich, but you never want to give everything away.
Dark might tap out.
Yeah, he's just playing awesome.
Good Blinding Clouds there. But yeah, the mobility just gets back in the Nidus Worm. Again, the base goes down the background. He loses 4 lurkers in the quote-unquote defense of that. Kind of a side, by the way. He used Fungal to reveal the lurkers. He actually lost the Overseers. Kind of a cool move there.
Yep. Nerchio's just playing fantastic. He's playing it safe. He's not going to run into spines. He's not going to run into 8, 9, 10 lurkers in the risk of losing this game. He is doing what he has to do as a professional, and that is just close this game out.
Yeah, playing really well here. And hopefully this gives a little bit of wind in his sails. The first 2 games kind of like he just blinked and all of a sudden he's 0-2 against Dark. And he's like, whoa, what's happening here? But this game, as you were talking about Rotterdam, like at all stages of this, there were some pretty cute moves from Dark. They were at equal supplies. They were fighting. They were dodging Corrosive Bile. And at each turn, Nerchio was outplaying Dark. He really was. It is.
I think Arthur is very, very confident as long as he can play a game like this. He has a lot of confidence in his engagements. You know how we used to praise Stefano all the time for his amazing engagements. Nerchio's not that different. I mean, Stefano still has it as well whenever he actually wakes up before 3 p.m. and he's playing a lot of games. Then he can still do it. He's got a couple of rough mornings here and there, our good old Ilias, but Nerchio has that too. It's just a shame that the first 2 games there, look at them.
The Burrowed Roaches joining the Nidus from like, aha! But that's just winning positioning. It's a lot of lurkers, but without support. In the mist.
He could go for a couple of ducks, and that's exactly what he's doing. Blinding Cloud could be used here as well, and I think that this is it. I think Arthur is going to get his first point on the board, as Nerchio just has way more than Dark. Well, those Blinding Clouds kind of working against Nerchio, though.
I mean, the supply, though, Kevin, the story, it does become a number game eventually. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. The supply. GG's call. Nerchio on the board. Still down 1-2. He's got a world of issues, but this is his foothold. This is him making a comeback.
And what a huge confidence booster a game like this as well. Now, obviously, the way that this map is designed, Acolyte, this is the ultimate map to go double hatch, you know, before you actually take gases. And Dark is probably thinking about like, all right, you know, game number 4. I don't know what map it is. Could be an Abyssal, could be Odyssey. I think it actually is. let's see if you can actually deal with Ling Bane early on, because I like the way the first 2 games were going. And I'm sure that Nerchio's thinking right now he's probably going to go back to that, because he might actually be a little bit afraid of me right now in a straight-up macro game.
But advantage Dark, because I agree with you fully, and maybe Nerchio does a much safer opening only to find a hatch first or some macro play out of Dark.
I would just still think if I'm Nerchio right now, the last thing I would ever want is die against Ling Bane again of 1 base.
Yeah.
If I have to go hatch before pull here, so be it. Am I a little bit behind? Yes, I'm going to be a little bit behind. But does that mean that I'm going to lose the game because of it? Kind of unlikely.
Yeah, we've seen that Nerchio can outplay Dark. It is something that is possible. We're going to get into that map number 4 here. It is Odyssey. Dark, all of a sudden, by the way, I would pull that popsicle off his chest. It would be slightly melted. I saw some perspiration on that forehead. He wasn't drinking. He wasn't smiling.
Would
no
you still
tweet.
lick it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. I'll lick anything off his chest. Well, these guys are giving us a show. Hopefully you guys are having a good time. In the lower right-hand side, coming all the way from Poland, representing the world, it is
Euronics Gaming, Nerchio.
I love it, Jeff.
Gotta have fun, man.
Yeah. It's a beautiful tournament. It's a beautiful video game. Let's see if he can bring it back, or if this man is going to close it out for series, I think, number 33 in a row against a non-Korean. It is
Dark.
Cool name, by the way.
Yeah,
A lot of Koreans will have kind of silly names, like it's just their name, or it'll be like Hurricane, you know. Well, that's all right.
Hurricane
okay.
is not that bad.
Dark's sick, though, man.
I like the clean
Dark's like
short
a force.
names.
Dark's
You know,
a
one of
force.
the greatest Warcraft 3 players of all time was just called Sky, and I just think it sounds
Yeah.
great. Just simple, clean, straightforward. When you say Sky, everybody knows.
I know. I like Moon, even.
Yeah.
I like the name Moon.
Sky, Moon, Dark, like those 3, they're all damn good
Epic,
at video
dude.
games.
They sound like gods or something.
Talking about gods, Nerchio, a nickname that some of the Europeans gave Nerchio when he was absolutely on fire. So let's keep a close look at these openings. Fortunately for Nerchio, it is hedge first on both sides. Arthur not showing any signs of being afraid.
Yeah.
This time he said, like, no, even if I go hedge first, I am still confident I can deal with your shenanigans. But he doesn't have to worry about it. And then Odyssey, shaping up to be perhaps a macro-oriented game. It's very normal that you see a Ling Bane phase on this map. You know, I make a couple links, you make a couple links, and we're going to trade. And unless either player messes up, it should transition into a roach game. Unless somebody's like, no, I'm going to make a Spire and surprise you. But it's very likely this just turns into a Roach Ravager war, and that is where I think Nerchio feels quite confident.
Yeah, keep your eye on the micro of those battles. They're very difficult, and I'm not going to try to blow this up too much, but Nerchio just handled it really, really well. I was very impressed. He almost took 0 damage from the Corrosive Vials and was landing.
I like this spine. He can always cancel it if he has to. He just wants to make sure that his opponent is actually expanding. And I think the moment that this Overlord will spot creep, the moment that this Overlord will spot 2 Zerglings, slow links, he can still cancel this spine. It is important though. Where is that Overlord of Nerchio? It's a little late. I feel like he built the spine almost too early.
He's going to let it finish,
He's
man.
going to let it.
Like the
No, he saw the creep there.
The 6 Spore Crawlers before him.
But he's going to let it
finish, dude.
That's interesting. It's a very early. I guess
He's dead.
just-
He's super dead. Yeah,
No,
that's
no,
it.
he just doesn't want to make links then, I guess. He's like, well, I'm going to have this spine. I can always rely on this spine.
I
I'm
like
just
it.
not going to make links.
I don't mind it. I know that, especially at the highest level, you know, the pro gamers are just looking to cut every corner they possibly can. But the Spine Crawler has purpose, by the way. There's going to be scouting lings. This actually kind of denies that. That plus a queen. It's very hard for lings to get past that.
But now there is, you know, you still invest in it. It's not just the minerals for the spine. It's obviously the 1 drone as well. But Nerchio seems confident that he can still turn this around. He's going to spot the amount of links here of Dark. Dark is making 16 additional Zerglings, though. And this is one of these moments where it's like, all right, there is a spine, you know, another hatchery.
Imagine a
going
Spine Crawler. Imagine. Right now. He still doesn't see the links. Never mind.
No, he's going to be able to spot a couple of these links with his Overlord. Incredibly important. That Baneling Nest is a tiny bit late. I don't think Dark has Banelings on the other side of the map, though, just yet. Or does he? I know he morphed a couple of on his side of the map. So Nerchio now with that spine is obviously going to be very useful, especially with the 3 queens here as well. And I wonder what Dark does. Dark, do you make more links?
Scouts
Do you
for the
make
third, sees none.
Do you make Ling Bane? Or do you start droning again? What is it going to be,
Drone.
Dark?
He's going to drone with Banelings. He sees that his third's faster. He knows that he's, you know, giving up some of the drones here because he made so many lings, but he can leapfrog that back over and have the faster third hatch.
That's 16 additional Zerglings, though, Jeff.
No, Kevin, what I was saying is he's going to mega cheese him, just keep making lings.
Where are those Banelings from Dark? So Dark is basically counting right now on Nerchio making a colossal mistake.
He's walking the queens off that creep. Isn't he? Okay,
Now
they
he
were
goes
thinking
back to
about it.
droning. It's a lot of links though for Dark. And Nerchio's actually making drones already as well. He's feeling so confident. He's like, I've got Queens, I've got a Spine, I've got Banes. I'm alright here. This is good for me. This is good for us.
I know what you're doing. That's going to be a single Baneling, but what's kind of funny at this stage is, yeah, you can't do the single Baneling, so he's not going to do it. I was just going to say.
Well, Dark is trying to be annoying here with a single link, maybe distracting Nerchio a little bit. Don't forget about those 4 Banelings. He's morphing a few more. Dark is like, hey, I've made 27 army supply worth of links and Banes. I want to get at least something done here, because Nerchio is 11 workers ahead. These trades very important. Nerchio has to be very, very careful.
Oh, Queen. Don't trade 3 Banelings for 2. You can't. Good defense. Nerchio, I mean, Zerg players always, it's just like a constant heart attack for me watching them do this.
You remember in the old days?
They do it all day
Liberty.
long, too, so they don't even know. That's fine.
They laugh in the face of danger. Dark still lurking around, still sharking, looking for an opening, looking for a mistake of Nerchio.
Those are Banelings.
Those 2 Banes could potentially, those links could morph into Banes. Don't forget about the other Banes that are still just wandering around as well. You know what this is? This is one of these games where we see nothing is happening, but if you're Nerchio right now, you're absolutely on the edge of your seat, because you know that Dark is just looking, trying to capitalize on the one single mistake a lot of players will eventually make.
Nice.
But so far, Nerchio is not falling apart.
He's holding good here. Very nicely done so far. And you're exactly right, Kevin. What was just happening right there was Dark trying to apply all kinds of just multitasking pressure, looking for Nerchio to fall behind. But if you look it up there, I think the only place where we can see that is possibly the lair timing. But this nice Ling Scout here shows that the drone saturation is just now coming in.
Wow. Doesn't do much there, but still cute what Nerchio is showing us. And you know,
no, he's got a lair. Never mind, my bad.
It's really hard to emphasize, right, on how well Nerchio just handled all of this.
Don't do it! It's working!
7. Okay.
It worked.
7 is very good, obviously. But it's still one of these things, right? It looks so easy what Nerchio did there, but it's so hard when you're in Fog of War. You know your opponent is just running from top to side, trying to go to the middle again, trying to hit you in the third.
I would have just perfectly split him, though. I would have had him go in every direction, you know what I mean?
Yeah, those drones. But I mean, I just love the way that Nerchio played it there. It's like one of these moments where this wasn't a big fight, it wasn't a big, amazing fungal, but what Nerchio did for those 2 minutes was incredibly high level.
Yeah.
Dark obviously showing really high level as well, looking for openings over and over again. But Nerchio showing, once again, he's bulletproof.
Okay, good. Actually, a good dodge on that Baneling there as well, and he's getting some drone damage in here.
Yeah, 3-4 drones is absolutely not bad for those links. The links value will really fall off. Dark is still not done. He really wants to get a few more of those awesome connections.
Yeah, there's an overload right there. Nothing. Not today.
Banelings.
Go back home, Banelings. You're drunk. Or you're, you know, Banelings. And they just move that way, and we shouldn't make assumptions.
Oh, a couple of links were morphing in the main as well, though. And this time, Dark gets slightly better connections. Well, okay, 8 in the end is obviously good.
It's good. Drops him down to 50 workers, but he's been up in army supply, so that seesaw of ZvZ is going to afford him. There's 7 drones about to pop, 8, so it's one of those things where it's good to keep doing that because it makes it possible for your opponent to be like, I'm over-droning or even under-droning, but ultimately right now that didn't have the biggest impact.
You know what's ideal? This is where you hover your mouse over the supply and you're like, how many drones do I have? In the old days, you know, you couldn't do that, and I think that's actually something that still a lot of players don't do in soccer. It's so used for these links. Just barely avoid those main links. Nerchio turns around now. There's a couple of roaches in position as well, so no big deal. Still a very, very playable game for Nerchio. Obviously taking a couple of losses here and there. Wasn't ideal, but he's far from out of it.
They're equal in army supply. He's just down 5 drones. It's really the only difference here. And tech-wise, they're both going up to that gold base. It is going to be those tongue and claw tactics that we saw from Dark, and it was tough. He did a really good job of getting everywhere with that.
Now I do think that on Odyssey that's even a lot more powerful than it was on Acolyte, because Acolyte, you know, there's only 1 entrance into the first 3 bases, when the 4th one would be a little bit more exposed. On Odyssey there are so many entrances into the gold, into the 3rd base, into the natural, just makes it a little bit more difficult to defend against that kind of stuff.
Can we get a return strike of Banelings here? Nerchio is really famous for this. He's just constantly doing some kind of Ling or Hydra.
Hop.
Not Hydra, excuse me, but Baneling and harass.
Look at these Banes.
Nope, they took a really bad path.
Yeah. That's a shame.
That's too bad.
But Dark is probably also not getting illusions here. Thinking like, okay, you know, the last few minutes went all right for me, but I still got to be very, very careful as well. Upgrade-wise, it's pretty damn even. Nerchio is getting Carapace though, but it ain't done yet. While Dark right now has his Burrow complete, has Stunning Claws complete as well, and this is where Dark wants to once again find an opening and wants to punish Nerchio if he's ever out of position.
Yeah, both armies actually in the middle of the map though. careful there. More Ravagers, I think, for Nerchio by quite a big margin, and that's a big deal. They're a huge contributor to the winner of that fight.
Does he have something in the natural? This is like Dark is obviously not trying to commit to a fight. He's just like, hey, if I were you, I would look over here, and then suddenly it's surprise, surprise, a couple of roaches in your main and in your natural as well. And so far, this setup of Dark is working. He really doesn't want to commit to a fight in the middle of the map.
Oh, yeah, and that distraction as you're talking about, it's going to get some hits there. Drones going down in the main and the natural. Nerchio down 1-2 is fighting for his life here, and there's those queens. They're okay at buying time, but they don't win the fight.
Dark is doing this so much better than he did in Acolyte already. He's making it very awkward for Nerchio to figure out how many units does Nerchio have to send into the natural and into the main. And Dark is still just lurking. He doesn't want to fight. He's just like, hey, my army is here. So be careful with how many units you send to deal with my run-bys.
Yep, now some showing up at the goal base, but we saw Spinecrawl. He's actually giving chase to this army. He's going to win a couple of exchanges there, but still, as you can see, more drones dying in the background. He's fallen to 46 workers, and he is max. So look at the difference in the bank. Almost 3,000 minutes for Dark, and just the 500 for Nerchio. That's going to be a problem. He's not going to be able to bank up as much and resupply.
One advantage, though, for Nerchio is that he is maxed out, and he has way more army supply. 151 against 136. There's maybe a room for a tiny bit more as well eventually for Nerchio, as there's still a couple of roaches active that could snipe a few more drones. The longer this goes, obviously the better it is for Dark, but if Nerchio can truly capitalize on having that bigger army right now, trying to force a fight. Now obviously Dark doesn't really want to have like an all-out fight, but if Nerchio can somehow get this done, his army is quite a bit bigger.
It is, and he's going to give chase here. He is the Apex Predator. He's going in on this, trying to dodge some of those corrosive biles. His Overseers get a little bit splattered there. But man, these are the original roaches, by the way. These are not four new ones. They're just literally doing a very good job of multitasking and being annoying.
If I was Nerchio right now, I would... He was eating a couple of those big balls. I would just try to shove on top of that army. There's a lot of Ravagers in the mix as well, which means that if the roaches of Nerchio can get close enough, this army of Dark would fall quite quickly. And yes, he has 3,000 minerals to remax, but we all know your remaxes will come from every angle. At this time, I think Nerchio will commit.
Whoa.
I think he's going to chase into the army of Dark.
Yeah, he doesn't have the buffer, does Dark anymore. It's just a lot of those Ravagers with a thin line of roaches. But he does retreat back to where he is resupplying, and so many corrosive biles are landing on top of Nerchio. He too is now going to retreat. Even an Overseer biting some there.
But this is where the bank really comes out. Awesome play there by Dark. I was in the same opinion of Nerchio, you know, to try to really force the fight, try to jump on top of that army. And Dark is like, no, yeah, please do. Please chase me. I'm going to hit every single corrosive bile.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Dark just did there. Fantastic play by Dark.
He's really sharpening up here. And then that Spire that we saw from a Reserver is finishing up here as well. It could be a nasty tech switch. There's no Hydras. We see the Hydra just now going down. And it looks like Nerchio's going to try to jump on top of some corrosive biles are going to hit center mass there. But he has the larger army for right now, jumping on top of it. And it's going to be a bit of a trade, but that bank is going to become an issue. So he's taking a nice fight. I like it. It looks okay.
Yeah, the Spire is the biggest problem right now. I mean, the bank was obviously important, but there's almost no anti-air, and corrosive biles is just not going to be enough. Nerchio
16 roaches.
Yeah, he's completely unaware of
with
these
no bank.
Midas.
No bank.
No Infestus either.
Nope. It's going to be tough. They're going to kill the Ravagers, and they're at least going to win mid-map dominance, and then he's going to have to make Spore Crawlers at his bases as well.
This is going to be very, very rough, and I wonder what Nerchio's response is going to be. The moment he spots these Mutas, this was a beautiful game, though, by Dark. You got to admire the way that he played it. He put so much pressure without ever committing to a fight, and then he just started to create a bigger and bigger advantage for himself. This is the ZvZ we know that Dark is capable of as well, and right now, Nerchio knows he's in so much trouble.
He's going forward. I'm not sure why. The bank of Dark, he has to know, is just filthy, and he's going to pursue up into this. This could be the end of the series. He's going to be retreated there off that ramp. Burrows down, sees there's a lack of detection, but that's probably, I mean, it's another move of desperation. I think those are his Overseers, excuse me, coming back home. He's going to buy some time with this.
Yeah, he just has no gas though, right, Nerchio? And that is a big problem. You need gas for NTI. He could maybe get a couple of spores. He does get a few Hydras at home, and there are Infestors. Maybe you could land the key fungal, but Dark is not like he needs to win the game with the Mutas. This was a good move by Nerchio. He buys time, but is it going to be enough? I don't know.
It's starting to make me a slight believer. If you look at the workers, Nerchio has dragged it down to 47 versus 51. There just were no Overseers from Dark, and every base is being found right now. No, stay up around, you're fine. He's hitting up the natural, going up into the main. He's probably going to maybe even kill that lower left fourth.
The problem is that Nerchio's going to lose a lot of his units, and he has no money to replace them.
Yeah.
But he's doing great. I mean, this is absolutely the best thing that Nerchio could have ever done. He was in a world of trouble. He was pretty much dead, and he sort of salvaged the situation where at least he's still kind of maxed out. He's obviously going to lose a few
Kevin.
more units here and there, but there
He's
is
up in
a
workers.
chance. Oh, Fungal does
He's
connect,
up in
actually.
workers. He's close to supplies. Lands the fungal. The Hydras behind there doing everything they can
Wow.
to try and whittle these mutas out.
Ah, the cross of Val's just a tiny bit
To
too
start,
late there.
though. But look, I mean,
Dark is so rich. That's the biggest problem.
he is rich, but he's in that situation now where he has no resupply behind that. So yes, it is 3,000 minerals of resupply. Don't get me wrong. But this is a winnable game for Nerchio. I say maybe 30 seconds away from him dying.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would want to go that far. It's still amazing that Nerchio is actually able to buy this much time for himself. And he's able to maybe get himself in a decent position. But Dark is obviously still in the driver's seat. This is kind of an awkward position, though, for Dark. As these units from Nerchio just coming in from every single angle.
Is there a fungal? He's got an infestor there. He needs to use it to get to the top of this ramp. He's just burrowing on top of these units, taking the fight head on. But Dark is pulling ahead in that supply. As you said, the bank here is a huge advantage. This fight was really awkward, but it's ultimately going to end up being somewhat of a trade, and it's Nerchio that cannot afford this trade.
The fight in the main is actually going really well for Dark. In the bottom of the naturals really didn't go that well, but getting those units on top of the ramp, that was a fantastic play by our Korean Zerg, who looks to continue his streak of just not losing against non-Koreans in a pretty awesome last two games. The first two games, let's be honest, they were pretty ugly. It was over in 6-7 minutes. Game 3, I think, was really fun. Game 4, awesome. A clinic by Dark about, you know, how to pull your opponent out of position and how to apply pressure without actually ever fighting. And I think that's the most beautiful thing that Dark did in this game.
Well, I agree, Kevin, but you will have to look at that clock and realize Shower Kevin is called GG!
Yeah, oh, damn it, no, I forgot. I'm so sorry, Jeff.
Damn it, Kevin.
I'm sorry.
Broken promises, but not for this guy. Dark